Good evening. This is Maestro Cortello with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today we got a 3v3 on Arena of Ashes, and our first player on the blue team is Commissar Lag, playing as the Lord General. Because I'm in command, that's why. The Lord General is a support hero. He is the only hero who is in squad, so he can bleed, but he also has a lot of staying power with on-the-field reinforcement. Also has a lot of support abilities that he can use to buff big Imperial Guard blobs. Next up, we got PhatE playing as the sneaky infiltrated orc Kommando Nob, an orc who is subtle by orc standards. He has a very powerful twin link shooter to start out. He can upgrade to get some other weapons to fill a variety of purposes, and also just has a lot of neat and surprising tricks up his non-existent sleeves. Next up, we got Satan Inside, playing as the Hive Tyrant. Big, tanky melee hero, one of the biggest heroes in the game, just in terms of how big the model is. And he can tie things up, he can charge in, he can disrupt with the Rending Claws ability. That's the ability from the Rending Claws, that's not the actual ability itself. Our next player on the other team, we got Georgian Finest playing as the Techmarine. Starts off as a ranged hero, can now get an axe in the elite mod, making him slightly more fluffy. He can repair, support vehicles, build relay beacons and turrets, and is one of the best teams heroes in the games with that relay beacon. Next up, we got Max Power. Max Power is playing as the Force Commander, tanky melee hero, tying up some orcs right now. It looks a lot like we're playing Space Marine right now, just charging in with a chainsword, trying to go after some pathetic orc boys. Tanky melee hero that can tie things up, punch vehicles, and act as a melee counter. Then finally, we got Bored to Death, playing as the Grey Knight Bro Captain, running away, scared of the orcs and the Tyranids. Tanky melee hero with a big four-sword and Terminator armor who cannot be knocked down or suppressed. So it looks like the blue team came out on the slightly winning end of their engagements down at the bottom. Techmarines certainly going to win in a force melee against Termagants, but they're also just taking way too much range fire from all these other things here. I think these Termagants right here need to do some crippling poison, and there they go. And now these Techmarines are pretty much screwed. Max definitely overextending them, need to get them out of there. But actually, oh, they tried to go for a wipe on the Shooter Boys, but will they actually get wiped themselves? Man, wow. I almost wonder if that's even worth it. I mean, they wiped the Shooter Boy squad, but they bled 2 models themselves. Yeah, you know what? Economically, that definitely is worth it, because it does cost more to get an entirely new Shooter Boy squad than it does to replace 2 Tactical Marine models. And this Tactical Marine squad still gets to keep the experience it got, and actually very close to level 2. But anyway, this Shooter Boy squad also, oh man, PhatE not being quite prudent with his retreats, losing a lot. Lost 1 Shooter Boy squad, lost a model. Meanwhile, oh my god, look at the way that Commissar Lag is pushing back this guy right here. Is this Georgian Finest? Yes, Georgian Finest getting totally pushed back. A little surprising, and oh, he's getting shotguns. Why? Definitely does not need to get shotguns against an Imperial Guard player in his lane. That's not the thing he needs right now. I mean, grenades could be nice, but otherwise, he also should not lead in with scouts like this, not lead in with shotgun scouts. Maybe he'll throw a grenade, but I don't think that's going to be worth it. He's going to lose this squad. He lost 3 models quite unnecessarily. Needs to lead in with the Tax or the Techmarine, let them tank damage, let them take cover, and then the scouts can go in, maybe even try to throw a grenade while the Techmarine and the Techmarines are drawing fire. But oh man, I am not liking this from Georgian Finest. But alright, down here, we got some Slugger Boys from PhatE. He loves to do this. He loves to get burners on his slugs, and he loves to burn down generators. He loves to put on pressure for those generators, and it is something that orcs are very good at. Meanwhile, we got more tanky melee heroes in this bottom lane. Seem to be struggling a little bit. But actually, Bro Captain right here, I think he got snared at some point by the crippling poison. But now we have Termagants just bleeding and losing a lot of models to the Bro Captain, while still getting focused down, but still not enough. I think PhatE might want some big shooters. He does have some big shooters. Oh my god. Oh, I think that would have been a little bit scarier if the defendability was not active on that Force Commander. He does have the Storm Shield, giving him the defendability, giving him a damage resistance, as well as to nearby allies. And we also have the Kommando Nob right here with some upgrades. Beta Combat Kit. I don't think that's what is called in retail. It's something called just like extra equipment. just kind of improving some of his stats, health regeneration, energy regeneration, etc. And he also has upgraded to get stick bombs, which I actually feel like you don't see very often. But it basically just gives him grenades, and it's more like a grenade barrage rather than a single grenade. So when he throws it, it can be pretty scary, especially if it comes out of infiltration. But I think the Hive Tyrant, I think now overstaying his welcome, needs to retreat out of there. He does have the Psychic Scream ability, and that allows him to reduce the damage output of enemy units. And I mean, yeah, his Hive Tyrant went down. I kind of saw that coming. Triple cap for the blue team, so actually right now doing very, very well. Georgian Finest finally taking his lane, and I mean, he's got fully upgraded scouts with infiltration, which, I mean, you know what, that could actually work. But the shot, well, I mean, it's, you know what, it is an interesting upgrade. And at first I was saying, yeah, I don't know what this guy is doing, and I still don't know what he's doing, but I'm saying that in a different way. Before I was saying it, kind of saying it in an almost condescending way, like, oh man, I don't know what this guy's doing. Now I'm saying it more in a confused and curious way. I actually don't know what that guy's doing, but he, like, it's making a little bit more sense. He can actually ambush if he gets the infiltration, whereas before, upgrading his scouts that much seemed a little pointless, and especially with the way he was using them. But anyway, Hormagon's right here, upgrading to Adrenal Glands, losing a lot of models though. Assault Space Marines even losing a model as well from max power. Georgian Finest choosing to get a Devastator up here. Not much happening going on over there. It's all about what's going on down here with these Shooter Boys. Do not want to mess with these Flamer attacks at level 2, so at least max power, having preserved that Tactical Marine Squad, now has a level 2 Tactical Marine Squad. And he's leading in with the Force Commander, but now his Force Commander taking too much range damage. Might want to activate the Defend ability, because eventually he's just going to have to retreat. And, ooh, a lot of things going on down here, and that's in part because Georgian actually came down to the bottom. So it's actually now, we actually now have this bottom lane kind of tripled, and Georgian also throwing grenades and almost killing his allies with those grenades. But it's actually everyone's fighting down right here, because we also have, because now Lag is down here as well with his triple guardsman. Choosing to just get a triple guardsman build. It's been a very ranged heavy game for pretty much all of these players. Lag with the triple guardsman, PhatE with the very typical double Shooter Boys, double Termagants also pretty typical, but even from the rest of the players, just a lot of ranged units. We also have some Lord General buffs. Does have the Flak Jacket to reduce incoming damage. When he actually uses the income ability. It does not do it passively. You need to use an ability. And oh man. Oh, we had a Kommando Nob right there. I thought he was going to go for a revive. Then he went for some stick bombs in retreat. I think he killed a few scout models. But wow, we have 2 turrets from Georgian Finest. Georgian Finest, he's kind of showing just a lot of what the Techmarine can do in teams. I mean, this turret for now is basically covered. I mean, that turret is basically covering the VP. And we have some infiltrated Slugger Boys trying to go for that turret, and they're going to get wiped for it. Because they got hit by a special attack, and they could not, I mean, even, they just got wiped. So Georgian Finest actually doing quite a lot, even though I was kind of doubtful of what he was doing before. I mean, there were still some, definitely some things, but he's putting turrets in places, and I mean, the Techmarine can just be a very, very powerful team Sierra. And he hasn't even built a relay beacon. So far, he's been doing it mostly with turrets.
So the generator is online. Reporting damage to structure.
We'll actually finally have a little bit of a lull in the action, but I like this. A heavy turret to answer a tarantula turret. Because the heavy turret is just going to shoot at the tarantula turret, and it will just straight up take it out. Unless it chooses to shoot at other things, but I think now Lag is targeting it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that's going to be the end of that tarantula turret. And the heavy turret is actually going to give the blue team a little bit of dominance in terms of controlling this. Oh man! So not only did that turret take out the tarantula turret, it also give 2 stormtrooper models right there. But I mean, pretty much everyone is fighting down at the bottom at this point. We also have Satan inside has gotten the Venom Brood with the ranged synapse to basically just give himself a very powerful range blob, and that, I mean, the Tyranid range blob is very, very scary. Not just because of the increase in range damage for the Tyranids, but I think almost even more so the increase in their health, making them not so squishy anymore. And that is one of the interesting things about Tyranids. Like, they're starting, their tier 1 squads are very squishy in tier 1, and then if you choose to get those synapse auras, the melee synapse from the warrior brood, or in this case the ranged synapse from the venom brood, which are actually also warriors, those squads that they have under synapse actually are not that really just are not that squishy anymore. Alright, but we do have a plasma cannon. Wow, this plasma cannon dreadnought from Bored to Death is not doing well at all. It might even go down. It's taking Venom Brood hits. It might even still be in range of this heavy turret. It is still in range of that heavy turret. That heavy turret has a ton of range. It definitely has gun range that's longer than its sight range. So you need to sight for it, but it's weird because the heavy turret you don't see the firing arc because it doesn't have a firing arc. It can do a 360 rotation, but it has really, really long range. I don't even know what the range is, but it's long. And I don't know why the Venom Brood are so overextended, probably trying to finish off. Wow, we have Interceptors jumping in and getting absolutely murdered. Interceptors dead. They're just jumping into something that they did not have a chance to jump. Did not have a chance. I mean, I think it's weird because jump units are supposed to be a counter for ranged units, but I almost feel like that's to a point. And the Lord General is in particular, well, Imperial Guard in general can actually be, can sometimes be difficult to use jump units against, even though they're mainly a ranged army. They have so much range, and especially guardsmen with plasma guns, that jump units are usually going to get focus fired down and just bleed a lot trying to jump into Imperial Guard squads. In this case, we also have a Lord General who does have the Meltaguns, gives him, aside from giving him a Meltagun, which can be used for killing vehicles, he also gets the Fight Harder ability, which increases weapon rate of fire, so that should increase DPS, although I think some people were talking about that and what that actually does. Supposedly there are certain units where it's just a little weird with it, but I mean, we see right now these Assault Marines getting absolutely murdered, and we also have we had a Guardsman Sergeant who was overextended. I mean, I actually don't know what's going on with lag. That was a really ridiculous engagement. I feel like lag just lost 2 squads of Guardsmen very, very unnecessarily, and Max Power also lost his ASM very, very unnecessarily. And he's saying it's worth it. I don't think it was. I don't know. It's hard. I mean, those were Guardsmen that were definitely invested in, but I mean, that was still ridiculous. But just the Guardsmen should be doing pretty ridiculous damage to heavy armor, including Assault Space Marines, with that ability from the Lord General. But the blue team has now actually kind of overall they're winning because of the way these heavy turrets have established dominance in the middle. Although Lag has given up the top because he's been fighting down here. Stick bombs going in on this Devastator Marine squad. That could be really dangerous. Probably would have been even more dangerous if they hadn't retreated and gotten knocked down. They probably would have taken a lot of damage, not only from the stick bombs, but also from the follow-up fire from the Termagants and some follow-up melee from the Hive Tyrant. Meanwhile, back down here, we have a Grey Knight Dreadnought disrupting some things. We also have a Vindicare Assassin who is stunned. He needs to get the hell out of there. He does not want to find himself in melee with some Slugger Boys. He also does not want to find himself taking shots from a heavy turret. That Vindicare Assassin, the relatively new unit for the Grey Knights, to give the Grey Knights a long-range AV source. Oh my god, do not do that. I mean, they're one of... Oh, and here we go with the Relay Beacon. But about that Vindicare Assassin, certainly the initial impressions, especially in the very first implementation of him, was that he was just very, very overpowered. And I mean, he's an entirely new unit. They're still balancing him. But I mean, the thing about the Vindicare Assassin, as well as a lot of things for Grey Knights, is that Grey Knights being implemented in the Elite mod really had a lot of things that were unprecedented. For one of the big things that was unprecedented was the Grey Knight Rhino was 900 hit points of super heavy infantry armor in Tier 1. That was something that had never existed before in Dawn of War 2 Retribution, as far as I know. And I don't know about before Retribution since I did not play. But again, that was just something that they needed to find a way to balance and implement when they really had no precedent or no example, because nothing like that had ever existed before. The Vindicare Assassin is pretty unique in that he is a single entity, he is a sub-commander, and he starts out with only, I believe, 325 health. He can get 450, but either way, he is unique in that he is a single entity unit with the lowest health of any single entity unit in the entire game. So he can be very, very vulnerable to things like melee squads pursuing him. I would imagine it's very, very easy to take out a Vindicare Assassin with something like Howling Banshees. And I just think you need to... I think you just need to be a little careful with that Vindicare Assassin. But anyway, we got shootable squads going down. PhatE losing so many squads from a lot of things, including this Grey Knight Dreadnought right here, Warrior Brood right here, vanilla Warrior Brood, so they don't even do heavy melee in their vanilla form. Oh my god, that plasma cannon shot. Jesus. Now, this Dreadnought still needs to be very careful, because look at the range of those heavy turrets. And these heavy turrets have had the bottom on lock for days, for several minutes, rather. We do have a Kommando Nob right here, has upgraded to the rocket launcher of all things. Perhaps he really wants to actually deal with that Dreadnought after just losing that shooter squad. But, I mean, otherwise, that's somewhat of a surprising upgrade. Well, maybe not. There's now also a Space Marine Dreadnought. So, Space Marine Dreadnought. Double Dreadnoughts for the red team. And I feel that Dreadnought plays, especially multiple Dreadnought plays, can be fairly strong in teams. Although I would actually say it's probably strongest. I feel double Dreadnought plays, like one per player, is especially strong in 2v2 because of what that means in terms of getting AV and just how much vehicle armor you have to deal with in Tier 2. Now, I actually think the Vindicare Assassin should actually be able to do damage to the heavy turrets, although he appears to not be doing much, assuming he has the turbo penetrator rounds equipped. But anyway, Brother Captain is here, doing a little bit of damage to this heavy turret, but not a whole lot. And he's able to tank a lot of damage, and I guess eventually he'll take out that heavy turret. Maybe he wants to take out one with the Bro Captain before he moves in the rest of his units. There we go. I think yeah, and we can tell when the Vindicare Assassin has those turbo penetrator rounds equipped, because he has that that little symbol, this particular symbol above his head. So we should probably see the end of this heavy turret. Now it's getting hit by turbo penetrator rounds. We should also see some vengeance rounds, as well as the Bro Captain going in, and that will, I think, finally end the blue team's dominance in the bottom. Alright. Looks like the top, meanwhile, is actually going back to the blue team.
Upgrading tech.
And but now we actually have some knobs out for PhatE, as well as some commandos. Going to be a double cap for the blue team, since Satan Inside is going to get the cap up here. He's all the way up there, even though he should be the bottom lane player. But we still have this Grey Knight Dreadnought that has actually been doing very, very well. Now, this is a terrible situation for the Vindicare Assassin. Needs to keep moving, because he especially cannot be caught in a situation being meleeed and having to retreat against the knobs, because he can definitely lose. Oh man. And I actually feel like he actually would have lost the Vindicare Assassin right there if it weren't for this Grey Knight Dreadnought with that plasma cannon knockback. Double cap for the blue team, as it is, might lose the Bro Captain, but that's not as big of a deal as losing the Vindicare Assassin. Meanwhile, Grenade goes in on a Warrior Brood with a Barb Strangler, and that was a fairly late Barb Strangler. Now we also got Stick Bombs right here, throwing some Stick Bombs, and it's a double cap for the blue team. They've got a pretty significant VP lead. Oh my god! That Plasma Cannon Dread actually doing very well. It went from... And there goes that Warrior Brood. Oh man. So the Grey Knight Dreadnought with the Plasma Cannon, it was something that when Grey Knights first came out, people were using this Plasma Cannon Dreadnought all the time, and it was and it was awesome. Then for a while, I think they nerfed it a little bit, and then I think people stopped using it, especially because they could just use the Melta without actually spending any resources, and that was very powerful in its own way. But apparently that Plasma Cannon Dreadnought still pretty capable of some really good things. So right there, Commissar Leg just lost a unit. I believe he lost a Melta Stormtrooper squad. Maybe trying to go for that this Dreadnought right here. There's actually a multi-Melta Dreadnought? Was this the same Dreadnought that he had all the time? I think he probably lost one Dreadnought and got another one. You know, this Grey Knight Dreadnought's still alive. This Grey Knight Dreadnought has been awesome. And Vindicare Assassin's still alive as well. And he's switching between ammo. He switches between turbo penetrator rounds, and I forget what the non-turbo penetrator round is, but I mean the big thing about the Vindicare Assassin is giving the Grey Knights some kind of long-range source of AV, and that was basically the Vindicare Assassin with turbo penetrator rounds. Now this is, oh man, look at that. Well, we got disruption from the Grey Knight Dreadnought. I actually feel right now the Grey Knight Dreadnought is in a really, really bad position because it's kind of path blocked by its own army, but there's an orbital bombardment. That might be the thing to save that Grey Knight Dreadnought. And here we also go with a Land Raider Redeemer from max power. There we go with the orbital bombardment. I actually feel that orbital bombardment did not hit much. So max power, rocking the super units. He's got the Land Raider Redeemer as well as some Terminators, and now he's getting a Plasma Cannon Devastator on top of that man. So Dreadnought moving in. We're gonna have either this is a Nemesis Vortex right here under that Dreadnought. I'm under this Land Raider Redeemer. I wonder what kind of damage type the Nemesis Vortex does. Maybe it can do some AV damage. Did not appear to do much of anything right there, although it might have just missed. We got Stern Guard veterans who appear to be a little overextended. Stern Guard veterans, I'm trying to target them. Stern Guard veterans is going to get out of there with only one model. They're going to retreat right to the Land Raider Redeemer, though, where they will reinforce very expensively. Max Power, meanwhile, had enough resources to do a orbital bombardment himself. We got Warriors called in right behind. I actually feel that's a terrible call-in. Really, really risky. Might take out the Devastators. Yeah, so, but you know what, they're not even going to do that, and I mean, that's just a bleeding Warrior Brood squad behind enemy lines with no upgrades. Meanwhile, the Hive Tyrant is invincible, does have the bonded exoskeleton, so he does have the invulnerability ability. And we also have a Barb Strangler Carnifex now. Barb Strangler Carnifex, Barb Strangler Warriors, Satan inside, certainly with a full army. And it's going to be a double cap for the blue team with Lag now capturing the top again. He is in the top lane. But I mean, damn, look at the stuff. Look at this, just look at the stuff that they have here. We got Terminators, we got Paladins now, I believe. Are those Paladins? Yes, they're Paladins. We got a Terminator Librarian about to be over there, not over here. Dreadnought, a new turret, and we got that Plasma Cannon Dreadnought, that hero Plasma Cannon Dreadnought, this venerable Grey Knight Dreadnought with the Plasma Cannon, not getting repairs for some reason. Should get repairs. I bet the Vindicare Assassin has also, no, he does not have any levels. I thought he was going to be maybe at level 2 and have a little bit more health. But we also have a Space Marine Librarian right here. Oh no, this is bad. I think Georgian Finest not paying attention. Needs to retreat him out of there. Might even lose him anyway. Alright, that was just slow reactions. Grenade thrown, but there... Oh, it does not even get to finish the animation because he retreated before he could throw the grenade. There we go with the Tyranno formation, but, I mean, I'm not... well, I don't think that Tyranno formation is going to do a whole lot. Does it? I mean, does one tower at least... the towers destroy both of those buildings, so that was actually very nice. So that is a pretty nice use of the Tyranno formation. Meanwhile, we got another... Oh, man, this is a much, much juicier orbital bombardment. Probably still not going to do that much. I mean, it hit a bunch of things, but did not really kill anything. Meanwhile, I feel like we had something getting destroyed over here. Did we? Well, we have now double Carnifexes. This one is a Thornback Carnifex, and it's targeting these squads, but it needs to be very, very careful. I think it's overextending a bit now. It's going for the Space Marine Dreadnought, as is the Hive Tyrant. And actually, they might... I mean, they're definitely threatening that Space Marine Dreadnought right there. And there's actually... I mean, the Space Marine Dreadnought is, if anything, the best source of AV that they have right now. But, I mean, he's kind of just going for the Dreadnought and kind of has to, because otherwise He's going to be exposing himself to the Dreadnought's rangefire. He's going to take out the Space Marine Dreadnought, though. Double cap for the red team. A sync kill on the Dreadnought. And now we again have these double heavy turrets. Like with double heavy turrets, meanwhile, it's actually a triple cap for the red team quite miraculously. Back up here. What is going on? That must have been... I don't even know what it was. Oh, that was definitely another Nemesis Vortex because the Bro Captain was here. We have another heavy turret, but not quite as dominant as they were before now that there are things that can actually take them out. But taking shots from the Stern Guards. I think the Stern Guards at the same time are bleeding. Yeah, the Stern Guards are bleeding a ton of models. Now we got a Techmarine with a Meltagun. We also got some Terminators force meleeing the heavy turret, and the heavy turret cannot do anything about that. And there we go with the Cyclone Missile Launcher Barrage. Not appearing to do a whole lot. Did a little bit of damage to that Carnifex. Mostly missed the infantry, though. And now, actually, these Terminators are in a pretty precarious position, except for the fact that there's a Land Raider nearby that they can go inside, reinforce from, etc. But gotta be careful about these Nobs from PhatE. Nobs can definitely do a lot of damage to a Land Raider Redeemer, and this is actually really bad for max power. He's kind of path blocking his own Land Raider with his own scouts that are here, supposed to be here for repairs, but I mean the Nobs can definitely do a lot of damage. But PhatE, not playing the War Boss or anything, cannot use Ard Boys or use your Choppas. Where is his Kommando Nob? His Kommando Nob is dead right there. It looks like Satan inside is going to try to make a play for this Land Raider Redeemer, though, and I mean, wow. Max power just kind of tanking it out and not actually doing anything. He's not like moving it out of here or anything. He's just trying to tank out the damage. Max power asking for help, but I think he also needs to help himself by moving the Land Raider back. And now he's going to lose the Land Raider. Alright, meanwhile, back up here. We got some commandos running around. Just running away. Probably might even take a few losses right here. Tactical Stern Guard veterans force melee. No, they don't. Do not actually manage to get any kills with their damage over time, even though that's generally fairly good on retreat. We got some paladins also with incinerators, and max power has lost a lot of things. Lost his Terminators, lost his Land Raider. I think he should have backed up a bit with his Land Raider. I don't know. Frag Assault was... Yeah, he used Frag Assault on the Nob, so that was on cooldown. But, I mean, he should have tried to move back as much as he could. And, I mean, on the good side of things for max power, he does have enough red to do yet another orbital. But it's a double cap for the red team. 117 to 27 VPs. But the red team now actually about to threaten a triple cap, despite all the losses that max power has been taking. Lag, well, Lag has mostly just been spending a lot of resources on turrets. That's pretty expensive, and ultimately lost those as well. And now he's actually getting a Bane Blade. Lag has been kind of trolling all game, although it's been working at the same time. This is really bad. Space Marine Librarian cannot afford to fight that Carnifex. That is going to be the end of this Space Marine Librarian. He just needs to switch target back to the Space Marine Librarian. He actually started... Oh, there you go. There we go. Sync kill. Again, another Carnifex sync kill on the Librarian. And he gets it on the Librarian right there. Here we go. That's a creeping barrage. And we have some infiltrated paladins, and that's something you can do courtesy of the Terminator Librarian, getting the Codica Maternum, and you get that shrouding ability, which allows you to infiltrate a unit of your choice. And the blue team, they got everybody down here, but they're not capping. They need to cap. There's not a whole lot of time. Oh, and I apparently missed it at some point, but I mean, at some point, the Grey Knight Dreadnought finally went down, and I'm kind of sad about that because it did so much. doing so well. But now we got a Land Raider Crusader on top. If anything, I would say the red team kind of has the top on lock. And I'd say at the moment they are not getting the bottom. Their best chance, I would say, is for the red team is to hold the top. And right now they are holding the top. Once they get this cap, they will have the top. And I think that will actually, if anything, probably sway the game in their favor. Georgian Finest, meanwhile, he can actually put an orbital bombardment right on all these things right here, and I'd love to see that. He does have the red for it. Yep, and there we go. And that's exactly what he's doing. Orbital bombardment on all of Lag stuff. Lag is driving right into it, and I think he's having trouble moving his Baneblade out of there. All right, he's able to move. Oh my God, oh my God. Oh my God. What? Oh man. I've never seen that before. Typically you can, that's Van Stubb status right there. But, yeah, typically you can't, typically you're not going to, kill a vehicle, even a vehicle, well, typically you're not going to kill a vehicle because it can just move out of the, beams, but I imagine Lag maybe just got his Baneblade kind of caught on the stairs and all the stuff, and or maybe it was just even like just had his jaw was just dropping. Like, I can't even believe this is happening, because I couldn't even believe it was happening. 1-to-1 cap, 18-to-25. A lot of things going on. Force Commander right here trying to stop PhatE's units is Kommando Nob. Kommando Nob is going to go down if he stays in here against this Force Commander. Force Commander is actually doing that passive damage, that passive knockback rather, with his Thunder Hammer. And I think the red team are going to take this. So we got a turret going down. There's not enough they can do in that time, I think, about a turret. Stern Guard veterans do need to cap, though. No, just kidding. Force Commander can cap. And we got some knobs here trying to do some things. There is a... What the... Well, we had a rocket run that, to be honest, just kind of completely missed. And that was actually a concede from the blue team. So the red team taken. Pretty crazy at the end. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.